Valley Mole.
Hi, I'm David Smith and this is Valley Mole, the show that digs in and around Silicon Valley, searching for insights into technology news stories, the patent wars, and the business of startups. Okay, in the news today, Microsoft and Samsung have agreed to cross-license their patent portfolios. They struck a deal to cross-license the portfolios of both companies, they say, to provide broad coverage for each company's products. As part of the deal though, Samsung is paying a royalty to Microsoft for each Android unit that it sells. So that would include the Galaxy Tab and the Galaxy smartphone. Now, generally what we see in these cross-licenses is that the two companies have roughly equal-sized stockpiles of patents as weapons to use in the patent wars. And if you look at the numbers of patent filings, in 2010, the largest patent filer was IBM in terms of US patents, which are the most important patents for these patent wars. Number two was Samsung, with 4,518 new US patents issued in 2010. Number three was Microsoft with 3,121 patents. So you may think there that Microsoft, in terms of new filings, its stockpile is a little bit smaller than Samsung's, but Samsung's had some catching up to do. The other thing to consider is that many of the patents held by these companies are not obvious. You don't know they're holding the patents. They buy patents and hold them in an LLC company that is a subsidiary and no one knows who the parent is. There's a lot of patents that are held in this way by LLC companies where the owners are unknown, undisclosed. The other thing to consider here is that Microsoft and Samsung actually are both reported to be members of the Intellectual Ventures patent pooling group, which is reported to have more than 30,000 patents. So they also participate in these pools. So these types of numbers have to be taken carefully because of who knows who has the largest pile. Obviously here we know that Microsoft has stronger patents in the smartphone handset type area because of the royalty that Samsung has agreed to pay on each Android handset and each unit sold. Now, how are these cross-licenses structured? Well, one of the easiest ways to structure the license is as a covenant not to sue. Basically, one side says to the other, I won't sue you for infringing my patents if you promise not to sue me for infringing your patents. It's essentially a peace treaty between two parties, or two partners in this case. The other way to structure these deals is as a patent pooling where each party has the right to take patents held by the other party and use them in litigation against a third party. So in this case, if Samsung had negotiated the rights to use Microsoft patents, it would have to probably buy those patents to have the rights to litigate them, to take Microsoft patents and use them in its war against Apple. Now, that would be a pretty useful tool for Samsung. However, some of these large corporations like Microsoft have multiple cross-license arrangements, and I suspect they already have a cross-license with Apple. So that would mean that Samsung would not be able to use those Microsoft patents against Apple. Now, even if Microsoft bought the patents, because what happens is when you license the patents, even in a cross-license like this, the license actually attaches to the patent. So if you sell the patent, the license goes with it. The same is true with a covenant not to sue, actually. There's case law that says that a covenant not to sue actually attaches and runs with the patent. So now, one of my experiences in selling patent portfolios is that the more licenses that are attached to the portfolio, be they cross-licenses or any types of license, they reduce the value of the portfolio. And a portfolio that's heavily cross-licensed to many players in the industry the value is reduced very, very little actually. So another way to reduce the value, if Microsoft had said to Samsung, you have the right to license, here I'm licensing you my patents in this cross-license, and you have the rights to sub-license to third parties my patents. Essentially, what that means is the Microsoft patents are rendered worthless for all use by Microsoft. Because what would happen if Microsoft then decided to assert those patents against someone else, then always that person, that third-party infringer, could just go to Samsung and say, hey, you have a license, you have rights to sub-license, will you license me these patents from Microsoft, therefore I can escape the infringement in the lawsuit. So basically those rights to sub-license are very, very damaging to the value of the patent and reduce the patents are essentially worthless in terms of trying to sell them later on. So we don't really have the details here of how this cross-license was structured between Samsung and Microsoft. It's unlikely it's going to help Samsung in its fight with Apple, in the patent litigation dispute it has with Apple. We know it's going to reduce the value of the Microsoft portfolio and the Samsung portfolio if they ever decided to sell those portfolios, which is probably unlikely. They don't care about what the value of their portfolio is. Rather than a small company may want to sell its portfolio later on, these large companies hold them as chips in the patent wars. But one thing we know is that it will bring some peace to the current patent wars that are raging in the technology sector. We'd like to thank the sponsors of Vallimole. Tynex, the full-service patent broker operating the world's largest technology trading exchange. Silicon Valley Business School, the unique online resource for students and teachers of entrepreneurship, high-tech law, and technology commercialization. And ValueMyPatent.com, the only place to go for rapid, realistic online patent appraisals.